Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my ongoing series on the Bhagavad Gita. So, currently, we find ourselves at the fourth adhyay of the Bhagavad Gita. And for those who are watching this video, I would strongly urge you guys to see the first video so that this whole thing makes some sense in context. Thus far, we have what have we covered thus far? I'll just give you guys a short recap. Thus far, we know that Arjun had a crisis of conscience on the battlefield, and to that end, Bhagwan Shri Krishna, who's an avatar of Lord Vishnu, decided to expound the deepest philosophies of the Hindu way of life. To that end, he first described the nature of consciousness. And the correct mindset to have in this world, which is known as Sankhya Yoga, which is an exercise, an intellectual exercise, attempting to understand the divinity. He then, after Sankhya Yoga was done, he went on to explain Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is the true method of ethical action in this world. And Bhagavan Sri Krishna essentially told Arjun how to act, and he explained to him how it was his duty to act in this world. And now we come to this chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita, where we speak about transcendental knowledge. So, without further ado, first shlok of the fourth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Shri Bhagavan Uvachaha. Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan vanahamavyahmam vivasvan me nave praha manurikshva kave bravit. That is, Bhagavan Sri Krishna said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivasan, and Vivasan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. So he's basically informing Bhagavan Shri Arjun about the provenance of this of the knowledge that is coming to him. Provenance refers to the chain of how from whom to whom was this information passed on. And it is said that Bhagavan Shri Krishna himself explained it to the sun god Vivasan, and he instructed it to Manu. So the same way that in Christian mythology, Adam and Eve are considered the father and mother to all mankind. In a similar way, Manu is considered the father of all mankind in Hindu mythological tradition. And similarly, in Jewish tradition, I believe it is Adam and Chava, which is the same thing essentially. And what I find very, very interesting is this myth of the flood. So, do you know, guys, and for our Western and foreign audience, the legend of Manu is that at one time there was a giant flood which was going to encompass the entire universe and, sorry, the world. And obviously, this would lead to the destruction of mankind. And to that end, God instructed Manu to build a boat. And when Manu built this boat, Vishnu himself took the avatar of a fish, which is called the Matsya avatar of Vishnu. And it is said that this fish pulled this boat to safety and saved people from the waters of the flood. And this is exactly the same story as that of Noah's Ark. And according to some archaeologists and some not psychologists, sorry, according to some archaeologists and paleontologists, there's some evidence that there was a giant flood upon this earth, and there was maybe a single unbroken human civilization that was destroyed by catastrophic floods. However, I must give a warning that these are just theories of people like Graham Hancock, and they, I believe, as yet are not exactly corroborated. But there is some tentative evidence in favor of them. So this is, and later Manu passed it on to Ikshvaku. Now the significance of Ikshvaku is that Prabhu Sri Ram himself, who's the next avatar of Vishnu, he is said to be descended from Ikshvaku. So he's considered the scion of Ikshvaku. So anyway, evam parampara प्राप्तामिमं राजर्षयो viduhu sa kale neha mahata yogo nashta paran parantapa. That is, this supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplinic succession, and the saintly kings understood it that way. But in the course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it appears to be lost. So what Bhagavan Shri Krishna is saying is that at one point, this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita was known to all human beings, especially in the Treta Yuga, which is the first. So in Hinduism, there are four yugas which continuously cycle through each other, and Treta, yeah. So स एवायं मया तेद्य योगः प्रोक्तः पुरातनः भक्तोऽसि मे सखा चति रहस्यं यः ते दुद्ध उत्तमः. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is told today by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and therefore can understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So basically, this knowledge was lost at some point and is now being rediscovered. And I believe this is true, especially for deep philosophical truths as well as even for scientific truths. There's a very famous phrase in Sanskrit, which is Ekam Satyam Vipraha Bahuda Vidhanti, which means that there is one truth, but there are multiple ways to arrive at this one truth. And often we find in science as well as when it comes to philosophy that people keep coming back to the same truths, the same values again and again. They, however, have a completely different way of reaching those truths because these people are different. So the method they use to attain them is different. And essentially, so Bhagwan Sri Krishna is attempting to revitalize this lost philosophical knowledge to inspire Arjun towards dharmic action, towards correct course of action. Arjuna uvacha aparam bhavato janma param janma vivasvatah kathameta dvijaniyam nam tvamado prokta vaniti. Arjun said, the sun god Vivasan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science? So, again, you find a very, very interesting part of the Bhagavad Gita where Arjun is counter questioning him. He said, hey, the sun is the most ancient, the sun god Vivasan is senior to you, Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So how can you say that you instructed this to him? And you find Arjun counter questioning God. You find him challenging in some ways. And this is not found, to the best of my knowledge, in the other religious scriptures, which is a unique element of the Bhagavad Gita, in my humble opinion. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Bahuni Me Vyatitani Janmani Tava Charjuna Tanyaham Veda Sarvani Na Tvam Vedha Parantapa. That is, Bhagavan Sri Krishna said, many, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. So, this is what Parantapa means, wherein he refers to Arjuna as that, the one who defeats his enemies. And this comes to the concept of reincarnation. So, unlike Abrahamic faiths, which believe that there is life, then that once that life ends, there's death, and then you go to some kind of heaven or hell depending on your actions. This is not the way Hindu and Buddhist philosophies work. We believe in a cycle of birth and death or a reincarnation, and this is what Bhagavan Sri Krishna is referring to. And it is said that in Hinduism, if your karma is bad, then you will you'll be born as like an insect or something. But if your karma is noble, then you'll get the birth of a human being, and that then even in that life, if your karma is better and better, then you will gain better and better station in life, and you'll be closer and closer to enlightenment. And the ultimate goal is that your soul reunites with Param Brahma or Param Atma, the supreme soul, and you attain nirvana or moksha. अजो अजोपि सन्न व्ययात्मा भूतानामीश्वरोऽपि सन प्रकृतिं स्वामधिष्ठाय संभवाम्यात्मायाय. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. So, what Bhagavan Sri Krishna is telling that the fundamental nature of Vishnu. So, Vishnu, the god, he rests on this ocean of milk, which is known as Vaikuntha, with his celestial consort, Mahalakshmi, the goddess of wealth. And however, the unique thing about Vishnu is that in every yug, he takes human form to instruct humanity in the ways of Dharma and to protect humanity against evil actions. And then we come to one of the most popular shlokas of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which is often like, I think if you're Indian, you have definitely heard this somewhere or the other. I basically heard this throughout my childhood. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam shrujamyaham. Whenever there is a lack of dharma, a lack of good in Bharat or in this world, then tadatmanam shrujamyam, then I will take birth. And then the next line, पारित्राणाय साधुनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. That is to protect the those who are good, to annihilate vinashaya cha dushkrutam, to eliminate those who are evil. Dharma संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे, to make possible the establishment of dharma millennium after millennium and for all eternity. And these two shlokas essentially embody the fundamental essence of what Bhagavan Vishnu is. That in every yug he takes incarnation and he fights for what is good. And I think, in some philosophical sense, if we say that I have a soul, which is part of the divine soul, and then maybe we have a little bit of that same instinct. And what if we took it upon ourselves to also fight for what was right? And since well, forever in Hindu history, this shlok of the Bhagavad Gita has inspired people to take up arms and to fight for what was right. You know, whether it was Maharana Pratap or whether it was Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, they all of them fought for dharma, the Hindu way of life. जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यमेवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वत व्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take birth attain again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjun. So, what Bhagavan Sri Krishna is saying, that when you understand the true nature of divinity, that's when you become a truly enlightened soul. And then, when you become an enlightened soul, you're no longer trapped in this endless cycle of birth and death. And then you achieve moksha, you achieve true liberation. And that is when you reunite with that which is transcendent. And this is what Bhagavan Sri Krishna is saying. That is moksha. This is the ultimate goal for in the Hindu way of life. Vita raga bhaya krodha manmaya mamu pashrita bahavo jnana tapasa puta mabdha vamagataha. Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me, taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they attained transcendental love for me. ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते तांस्तथैव भजाम्यहं मम वर्तन्ते मनुष्यः पार्थ सर्वशः. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. And I think this is a good point to end this video, where I explained to you guys I suppose, what exactly moksha is and how in the Hindu way of life one can go about attaining it. Please like, share, and subscribe for more. And please let me know in the comments what you think about these videos. And until then, Jai Shri Krishna.